Well, welcome and thank you for coming. I want to thank Don and the Chamber Board of Directors for allowing me this opportunity. And thank you all for taking time from your busy schedules, plural, to join me today. This is the third State of the University address, believe it or not, that I've given in the last 22 months. And I went back through my calendar. March 1, I was brand new in Philippi, March 1, 2016. November 17th of 2016, so we did 2 in 2016, and then this one, November 7th, my wife's birthday, I have to remember and run out and get her a card and all of that. And for your information, the gentlemen to my right are taping this, and we're live streaming it to our faculty and staff back on the campus. And also, this will be the 11th Fireside Chat that I've done since I've arrived. And one thing that I realized when I came is that, you sit in my chair, you think everybody knows everything. And it dawned on me that there are ways now with technology that we can get information out. So I borrowed something from Franklin Delano Roosevelt about fireside chats, and someone pointed out I didn't have a fireplace in my office, but that hasn't stopped me from doing 10 of these, to just explain the issues, the opportunities, the challenges, the successes that we've had at Alderson Broaddus. And surprisingly, a number of people that I didn't know were noticing my fireside chats are giving me calls and letters, etc. And even I know another college president has borrowed this from me and is doing the same thing. But I told him I patented, now that Roosevelt is dead, I patented the whole idea of fireside chats. Today I'm going to break this presentation into 2 pieces. One are the opportunities and the successes that we've had. And the second part are the challenges that we have. And if you've been noticing the press of the last couple of days, there have been a lot of challenges and articles about issues that are going on in higher education, not only nationally, but in the region. Just this morning, I listed some of the challenges that higher education has experienced in the last maybe 4 or 5 months. The new tax plan, which could be taxing of endowments. DACA, immigration policy. Free speech on campus. The right to assemble on campuses. Concussion protocol in football. Let me think here. Changes in Department of Education policy. Cutbacks in higher education. University of Wisconsin Superior just the other day cut 9 majors. So in many ways, what's going on in the world is affecting us, certainly in West Virginia. Well, we'll talk about those challenges in a moment or two, but let's talk about opportunities. When I first arrived, I came down here and I went to breakfast one morning and heard 2 people across the way from me basically asking, what does Alderson Broaddus do for Philippi and Barbour County? And even though I didn't agree with their answers to this, I came back and said, we have to go out and prove it. And so you have before you a state of where we are, an economic impact statement for Alderson Broaddus University. And so when someone says, what are we doing for the community, I can say we're a $48.3 million impact on this county, which is absolutely huge. Now, you have to take it, obviously, direct impact and indirect impact, etc. But that impact, I think, is rather significant. Or the antithesis would be, if we weren't around, where's 48 $48.3 million of impact going to come from. On page 3 of that impact statement, that gives you, again, what I've said just a moment or two ago, but also the impact on institutional or on community employment. And that's in really 3 different ways. One way is the number of employees that we have directly. And the reason I know this number of 167 is we've interviewed them all and we've done some things on campus this year. Then also we have another thing of people that we're contracting with, our Sodexo employees. That's added on to that. And then thirdly, in the community, we've done an analysis and using, national ways to look at economic impact and higher educational impact. The number of Sheets employees, the number of Medallion employees, the number of Moe's employees, et cetera. The number of people that have been added on because we have 1,020 students on our campus. We have an impact of our total number of employees of 311. What's that doing in the community? And I think we just assume, they're there, and that's fine. But that also has a tremendous impact. We also have 9,000 alumni all over the country doing some really marvelous things. Also, we have 36 graduates that have been employed in Barbour County since 2012. That would be the hospital, AB itself, the courthouse, et cetera, et cetera. We have several students each year, 10 to 15, helping Mr. Woofter out with internships, student teaching, et cetera. And for instance, in the last 5 years, we had 43 students complete their teaching credentials at Philip Barbour. So we have a marvelous partnership. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. So those are not employees, but those are people out there that are assisting in building this particular community. Also in the impact statement, we did something on enrollment. And you'll see that we've had a slight decrease in enrollment this year from 1,052 to 1,020. And if you're looking at national and regional and even almost local impact of collegiate enrollments, you're seeing a slight turn down. Now, part of that happened about 18 years ago, that people didn't have enough babies that they used to have. And the second thing is the out-migration of college-age students that are leaving West Virginia to go to other institutions. Ohio would be an example. Pennsylvania would be another example. So the market is shrinking of traditional age students. I don't think that's a surprise to most of us. An easy way, I gave a speech one time and I said, think about your parents and the number of brothers and sisters they had. Okay? How many children do you have? And the odds are probably significant that we're having fewer children now than we had 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Our incoming, and this is very good news, people go, well, what's some good news here? Besides $48.3 million of impact is the fact that we were up 19% this year in new students. And Dr. Shore is here, and I'll publicly acclaim him for his efforts. However, I'm worried about next fall, so I don't get too comfortable with Dr. Shore.
What have you done for related?
That's right. Sort of like the Houston Astros aren't worried about winning the World Series, they're worried about next year. But 309 students compared to 261 students a year ago. That's a tremendous statistic for us. But I'll even give you a better one. In our retention of students, we've had some issues with retention of students. And an easy way to describe that is when we started many of our athletic programs, our first year in football, for instance, we probably went out and recruited 8 or 9 tight ends. You don't need 8 or 9 tight ends. And some of those kids left. So that retention thing was starting to slip. This year we went up 2% from 55 to 57% in retention of students. That is the most significant statistic that I will give you today. And we'll talk about some issues that we're dealing with right now, but if you can turn that corner on new students, and that's transfers and freshmen, and then you turn it on returning students, that bodes well for us. And then at the end on page 4, if anyone goes, well, what kind of statistics and formulas, et cetera, you're using, I have our institutional research person here in case anybody asked a particularly tough question for me. But these are normal ways to look at economic impact. We just didn't cook these statistics up and put them in a brochure that looks really nice and got it out for you. Okay? So that's some other good news for us. Another opportunity is ratings. And I don't get too excited about college ratings. If you have a lot of money and you want to invest in U.S. News and World Report, go ahead and do it. And a lot of institutions have banked a lot on that. But there was one this year that caught my attention. And that was the best value schools. The best value. And I think if you have college-age kids, one of the questions you're going to be asking is, if my kid goes here, what's the value proposition? And we were named the 26th overall in value of a best institution with value. And I think that means an awful lot. When I visit with prospective parents and students, I guarantee you there are 3 sets of questions. Okay, daddy questions, mommy questions, kitty questions. I guarantee you 105% of the time dads will go, how much is it going to cost? Is my kid going to get a job? And how much aid can he get? Done. You answer those 3 questions. Mommy questions are security, safety, health care, parking, social life, roommates, friends. Kitty questions are, yeah, can I get a job? What am I going to do in life? Oftentimes we find ourselves answering their questions for them. So for instance, what do you want to be? I'm not sure. Well, okay, that would be one. Or I want to be a teacher. What kind of a teacher? An elementary teacher? A secondary teacher? Well, I don't know. Well, let's ask you some other questions and maybe we can start formulating that. Or if you are undecided, to affirm it. How many of us were absolutely sure when we were 18 years old of what we were going to do? And how many of us are doing what we thought we were going to do when we were 18 years old? You just answered the question. You're all looking down going, I'm a little nervous about this. Huh? So, when you talk about value, when they get in the car and they're done visiting the institution, they're going to have those questions. I always tell parents, listen to your kid on the way off campus. You're going to hear things like, I didn't like it. Why? Well, I don't know. I just didn't like it. Or, wow. I'll tell you a dumb thing I do every year. I give out my cell phone number to any parent that wants it. My wife thinks I'm crazy about this. Just often enough a kid will call. I don't know who to talk to. Would you answer this question? This summer, a mother called. It was the baseball all-star game. And the phone rang. It was about 8 o'clock at night. She said, are you Dr. Berry? I said, yes. She said, I need some help. And I said, well, what's going on? She said, I don't know who to send the health care forms to. Last year I was with a donor. A kid from Texas called up. Had about 3 or 4 questions. I told the donor to just hang in there, be cool, and answer the kid's questions. That's part of the value proposition. Is somebody going to be there if you have any particular question? I think we do a pretty good job at that. And this is a quantifiable or qualifiable way to look at that. Okay. Now, let's talk about challenges. This summer, if you're reading the press, you found out that we were placed on probation by the Higher Learning Commission. It emanates from several years ago when we defaulted on a bond. And if you look back and you say, gee whiz, were you surprised? No, I wasn't surprised. What they basically said is, we want to make sure you're okay. So I'm telling you today, we're okay. They're coming back in 2 years. We've had the liaison from the Higher Learning Commission that's already been to campus. We're putting a new study together. And I have every reason to believe that that's going to go away. But it's a wake-up call. Out of adversity often comes opportunity. And it's been an opportunity for us to deal with this. And we deal with it very proactively. Now, what does that mean? Because of being on probation, we had to contact every current student, every prospective student, all our alumni, the media, etc. You all heard about it, okay? We went up 19% in new students. We went up 2% in returning students. Which says a lot. That value proposition means an awful lot to us. And people are saying, okay, we're understanding this. Let's move forward. Forward, always forward in faith. Okay? Now, part of the environment of higher education, as I told you, is changing and changing dramatically. When I told you just what I'm reading in the newspapers and the 10 or 12 issues that I mentioned to you, things are changing. Most of you, I suspect, have a cell phone. I'm being recorded on a cell phone right now. When you were in 3rd grade, did you have a cell phone? Never the Christmas cards to your grandparents that you Skype every day in Texas these days? So the whole modality of education is changing and changing dramatically. New business models are coming up time and time again of new partnerships, creative ways of doing things, mergers, amalgamations, all kinds of different things. So we live with our business model in a highly competitive world. And we're trying to keep up with that. But so is West Virginia University when I hear Gordon Gee speak. So is Ohio State, or whatever you want to pick, or any of your alma maters if you went to college. As I tell our alumni all over the country, in many ways, we haven't changed at all since you went. We still are a quality institution. We still are a private institution. I'll tell you a wonderful story. We've interviewed now 156 out of 167 of our people. In 1 hour, we bring 10 of them together. They don't know who they are. They're just coming together. And we ask them 3 questions. Who are you? What are you about? And where are we going? And the first thing I hear from them is, we're family, we're community, we're caring, we're friendly. And then I go to an alumni event down in Huntington, and these alumni get up and go, you know what we were like when we were there? We were friendly, we were family, we were community, we were caring. Now they're not all 147 years old. But for 147 years, we've been that same type of institution. We're not going to change. We're not going to change. But I also tell alumni, if you graduated a year ago, last May, we're different than we were even last May. With new academic programs, such as anatomy and Teacher as Leaders. We have a new LRAP program where basically it's an enrollment incentive for our students. If they graduate and they sign this agreement and they earn less than $40,000 when they get out, teachers as an example, that will go away. Their tuition will go away over a period of time. We just had some wonderful publicity on that. We're one of the first schools, if not the first school in West Virginia to do that. So a lot of things are different this fall. Not only the environment, but what we're trying to do and how we're trying to proceed. Okay? Now, because of this probation status. My term at AV has been extended. I always say it's the gift that keeps on giving. And I'll be with us through this probationary status and a new report from the Higher Learning Commission through June of 2020. And that's a board decision. And they asked me if I wanted to stay, and I said, I really, really do. Because I believe in us, I believe in what we're doing, I believe in our commitment to not only locally, we've got to build a lot of bridges here, I know that, but I think we're taking some incremental steps and very significant steps, whether it be Christmas programming, Town and Gown Task Force, we're working with Jeff's institution as well, okay? Now, let me bring you up to date on USDA, because many of you are wondering about that. We applied for a $54 million USDA grant. Everybody get your pens out, write this down. It'll be on the test, okay? Essay test, okay? We had permission from the Morgantown office of USDA to proceed to the national office. The national office wanted us to hold off and said, wait a minute, we're not ready. And it goes back to the default and financial things and all of that. So what we're going to do is reapply, coming right back at them, for a $27 million USDA loan to basically take out our bondholders. Now let me talk about the bondholders, because everybody's wondering, what about the bondholders? We're in a forbearance agreement. Forbearance means we're making payments over a period of time. We made $500,000 last year, a $900,000 payment. As we get up to full parity, we're in compliance on every one of the standards with the bondholders. And that's really important. But this will be an opportunity for USDA. That interest is in the 3s. The bondholder interest is in the 7s. Do the math. Do the math. It's that simple. And I'm not guaranteeing we're going to get the USDA thing, but what I am saying to you is it looks very, not favorable, but very good at this stage in the game. Our application is not even in yet, so I can't make any promises, and I would make any promises. But stay tuned. I want to come back next year, talk to the chamber, make it the 4th speech, give you State of the University, and I'll give you an update on that at that time. But we're working very closely, and I want to thank Senator Manchin's staff isn't here. Senator Capito's staff is here. Thank you very much. Representative McKinley's, Wendy's here. And I really appreciate the strong support, not only regionally from your offices, but the support in Washington. Only in West Virginia can you call up a congressional office in Washington on a Thursday and say to them, could I have a little time on Monday? And I've never been told no. And that says an awful lot about the value proposition of what Senator Capito, Senator Manchin too, he just doesn't have staff here right now, and Representative McKinley. You've been most cooperative. And so, as late as 2 weeks ago. And so those staffs are fully informed about all of this, and it's been a wonderful partnership. If I was in New York, I don't think Schumer would have taken my call like Senator Capito's staff did, and I really appreciate that. You don't get told that enough, and it's been great. Now, some people are saying, what about the College of Optometry? Yeah, here it is. Okay, first of all, optometry isn't the salvation of Alderson Broaddus. Some people have, it's been construed in that way. It'd be very important for us in the future. But we're moving along incrementally with enrollment increases, dealing with our budget issues, dealing with accreditation, etc. But because of this, the $54 million USDA application, the prior one, had a piece in there for optometry. So what we're going to do with optometry, because we're in this probationary status, got USDA teed up, etc., is we're going to hold off for 2 years. So it isn't dead. If anyone tells you that, it's wrong. And it is optometry, it's not ophthalmology, going back to an earlier verbiage. We're going to wait 2 years. We've met with the accrediting gods, ACOE of optometry. We've told them of that. And we think it'll be about 2 years. It could be sooner, could be a little bit later. We just don't know at this time. But our peers are telling us this is, an adventure, really a wonderful opportunity for us. And we knew that because of accreditation, not only the Higher Learning Commission, but the optometry accreditation piece, that we had to do what they're telling us. And they're telling us, take your time, come back, and we'll go from there. So again, that's another reason for me to come back and continually upgrade as to where we're going to be. All right, now, in conclusion, it's been about 27 minutes, that's long enough, but 147 years. And we've been a miracle for 147 years. We have our challenges, we have successes, we have wonderful people. I wouldn't trade our faculty and staff and our students, and I've been in this game a lot longer than a lot of you have been around, period, with anybody. This is a special place. But as I look around the environment of higher ed, and if you read the newspapers today, there's some things going on out there that are challenging for all institutions. And we know that. We're cognizant of that. And in my time, what we're doing right now, finally, is we're moving. I thought I'd be here a year, so we were doing a tactical plan. I thought I'd be here 2.5, 3 years. We did a transition plan. Now that I'm going to be here about 5 years, what we're going to do is a strategic decisioning model built around 5 pillars. One is academic quality. One is mission and governance. One is student engagement. Student engagement. How are our kids doing with clubs and athletics and all this? Okay, are they having a satisfactory experience? One is on finance and one is on enrollment. So it's going to be more of a fluid plan, and I hope it isn't presumptuous enough, because there will be another new president at AB, whomever he or she may be, and that will come down in the future. So again, we're cognizant of who we are. It's interesting that in those Greystone conversations, we always talk about who we are, what we're about, and where we're going. And so we've got about 20 minutes. You've got 10 people in the room. And I always say to them, for the next 20 minutes, you're the new president of Alderson Broaddus. And after I pick them up off the floor, and they go, oh, we don't want your job. No? Well, where are we going? I'll tell you, we're going in a very concerted way, a very proactive way, a strategic way. And building new programming, frankly, looking at programs that are no longer attracting students, making more demands of our faculty and staff probably than they've had in a long time. But we're trying to do this together, building a proactive model for higher education in West Virginia, Barbour County, and in Philadelphia.